Great. Thank you so much. For purposes of record, my name is Asima Shivan Faith. You can call me Shivi, and we are at the podcast of the Cautious Choices. And I'm here with my three panelists, and then I'll start from this side and they'll introduce themselves. We are here at Holy Cross Lakeview SS Wanyange in Jinja. So please, mister, would you mind introducing yourself?
Hi everyone, my name is Colin Sengoru. I'm a Form 6 student at Holy Cross Lakeview SS Wanyange. I'm very much delighted to be part of the Conscious Choices podcast on this specific day. Thank you.
My fellow lady on the show.
Yes, hi everyone. My name is Angela Alupo, and I'm so glad that I'm part of the Conscious Choices podcast today. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Innocent Nwagala, a Form 6 student of Holy Cross Lakeview, and I'm so much delighted to be at Conscious Choices podcast today. Thank you.
Did you know losing one species can collapse an entire food web? I'm sure you did not know that. As we dive into the segmentation of today, and I have my brightful panelists, as you can all see them, they're looking so nice, and we're going to have them here. So we're going to go into the first segment, and it's going to be handled by her, and then it's talking about the animals and their role in the whole situation. So please, you remind us of your name.
Well, my name is Angela Alupo.
Yes, Angela. So Angela, why are animals an engineering part in the ecosystem?
Okay, if we look at it in the perspective of engineering, let me bring you to a machine. A machine has parts and wires also, right? So when I talk about parts in our ecosystem, I'm talking about things like plants, soil, rivers, water, and then we have wires. I would say the animals are like the wires that connect the parts. What do I mean in this case? As they are moving, we have seed dispersal, so which means they are responsible for plants growing and going to new places. We can also talk about animals, let's say fish, perspective of water. Fish tends to eat algae. So when it eats algae, we then tend to see that toxicity in water has reduced. So I would say things have these parts are connected by the wires one way or another. There has to be a wire to connect another part to another part. So that's how I would say that the engineering part of the ecosystem.
Okay, I love that explanation. Do you agree with that, Innocent?
Yeah, I surely agree with it, because I think that connectivity that he explains is what makes life of everything that happens. If I'm just going to give an example related to what she does explain in her presentation, she does say that fish feeds on algae. It means that is how fish is engineered to live, because without the algae being present in the water, then the fish is not able to live if maybe somebody has not provided it with another food. So I think that is absolutely why I agree with her that there is that engineering part within that system.
Do you also agree with what she has said?
Okay, when we talk about animals being the engineers in the ecosystem,
Yeah.
that's very true. However, the rate at which that engineering is accelerated is also dependent on the environments around the animals themselves. We're talking about people that relate with these animals every other time, because the only way we enhance the capacity of animals to engineer our ecosystem is how we own up the responsibility to ensure that they are part of the ecosystem and we ensure their sustainability. But I think that's really brilliant.
Oh, thank you so much for your submission. Everyone has loved it, and I also am in total agreement with that. So when we go on to our next question, what really happens when a species disappears? What really happens to the whole planet, to the whole system? What happens when just one species disappears?
So let's say the wires are not there. The machine could therefore not work.
Yeah.
Am I making sense to you?
Yeah, you are.
The machine shall not work. So what does this mean to our ecosystem? If you remove or put away the fish, in this case, do you really think the algae shall be eaten? Which means that algae shall keep on accumulating, therefore our water will become toxic. And then the other thing is that when our water is toxic, we shall then have things like animals dying, shall have plants, everything that depends on that water shall die. I hope I'm making sense to everyone.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah. And then we also have let's say, if the plants disappear, then we humans shall not have a part of our food to eat. Because we're talking about a food chain here. If the producers, which are the plants, are missing out of the ecosystem or something of that sort, we shall not have continuity of other species. So if a species is moved out, we shall not have the ecosystem work. So everything will remain stagnant, or if not reduced, or even you can have the entire ecosystem wiped out because of that one species that's missing in the ecosystem.
Yeah, that's actually very right. So when I'm trying to ask another question, where my other question comes in from, that do you have any local or relatable animal that you care about, and why does it really matter to your life? I think I'm going to ask all of you, because I really feel like you should all give us those experiences, all those explanations that we need from you guys. So do you have any animal, local or anything that's of, like, it's an animal that really matters to you, that you care about, and why does it matter?
Okay. The one that I even have at home is a dog.
Okay.
Okay.
You love dogs.
Yeah, I'm a dog person, but
Okay.
these small ones, I love them.
The
but
Maltese puppies.
yeah, those chihuahuas. I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
them. Though at home we have like these local dogs, like those big ones. Okay, I feel safe around a dog. For some reason, I can sleep peacefully at home in a house because there is a dog. You get it? Because like we all know that it was tamed by man, so it protects man, stuff like that. But also I feel like with the dog not around, I feel like I have to stay awake at home knowing that thieves can come in. So to me, I would feel like it's a dog and it makes me feel safe. I don't know what I'll do if I don't have dogs at home, honestly speaking.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, I think we have a lot in common, because I think I also love dogs. So every time I'm at home, in terms of maybe when I want to do exercises, a little bit of working out, I think I run around with my dog and then move around the environment and everything. But also, a little bit of the connectivity that happens is that every time you have that animal and you care for it,
Yeah.
you make sure that the environment it lives in is nice. You care about the things it likes, the environment it plays in, and there is that connectivity that you connect with the animals that you love. So I'm just going to give you an extensive example, because she talked about a dog.
Yeah.
I have my grandfather. I think for him, he loves cows so much. So what causes him to even love those cows, or the effect of him loving cows, is he doesn't like you littering the environment, simply because that is where his cows feed from. So I think that is the connectivity that makes people love their animals and how they keep protecting the environment.
I really love that point that he says that the grandfather does not allow the littering of the compound or the environment. It's because that's the environment where the cows feed from. So it will prevent people from littering, in actual sense, to follow up what grandpa is saying or what grandpa wants. That's really a nice submission. Yes. Do you have?
I think for me, Madam Shimon, in terms of a relatable species, it's a bit abstract.
It's okay.
Because, one, I'm not a fan of dogs because of some history that happened between me and dogs.
I know they chased you one day.
Exactly. But dogs are good. However, one of the most endangered species in our current ecosystem, I think this is like global, is the white rhinos. Because when I was reading a scientific fact, there is only one white rhino that's left, and I think it's North Africa.
Yeah.
Specifically gazetted there to try and maybe deter it from encountering the harsh realities of the environment globally. But the funny thing is that it's a male, right? I was asking myself, just as an average intelligent voter, is what has the world been up to the extent that we only have one male white rhino? So just as a Form 6 now and getting into the realities of the world, I think that speaks a lot to how humans ought to, value each and every species. Because reality is that this is one white rhino leaving us, and there is almost little that science can do, because history dictated on that fact. I just feel so bad that I have nothing to do about the rhino.
So sorry about that.
But anyways, it was fun learning about it, and yeah, I think that's the species I really hold dear at heart.
Thank you so much. That's also a beautiful submission, because most of us did not have that much information about that. Innocent, how are forests, oceans and soil, how are they like the planet's life support systems?
First of all, from one example,
Yeah.
you say, as a person, I have a heart, I have a blood circulation system within me. I may not know the biology and the terms, but I think to live and exist, I must be able to breathe, I must be able to be having blood flowing all over my body. and those are the systems that are able to support my life. Now, as a planet, in order for it to exist with the ecosystem, that is to say you have plants, you have animals, these things ought to have where they stay, they ought to have those support systems. So the question you asked me is how are soil, oceans and forests the planet's life support systems. This is what I think, is that on the planet, that is to say the Earth, there are animals, there are human beings like us, and of course many things, plants and so on, insects and many species. But these species have their habitats existing in these three things. You may find animals living in the forest or birds living within the trees, and that's where they find peace, and that's their habitat. When you go into the ocean, you'll find different animals, different aquatic animals that live there, and if you put them on land, they cannot be able to survive. It means that keeping it safe means that's their habitat that they live in. But also, the last bit of it is when you have soil, that's where insects are able to live. That's where you have plants are able to grow from those particular soils. So what am I driving at? How these things are able to become the life support system of the planet is that we cannot talk about planet Earth without human beings. We can't talk about it without plants. We can't talk about it without birds and all these things.
Yeah.
It means, why are they so crucial that we can't talk about it? As an individual, I think I would love shade. I would love to feel that air, breathe and everything. But also, human beings depend on things like oxygen and maybe other animals. That oxygen can't exist if the trees don't produce that oxygen through the systems that they're able to live with. But also, the nice sound that the birds produce when they're in the forest, all those things that are able to attract tourists and live within the country. Let's say Uganda has good forests, only happen if the forests are able to exist. But also things like oceans is where people have fun from. That we can't live as human beings without that happiness bit of it. So that's why you go to swim within the ocean or to have nice sceneries within, maybe stand in the sun alongside the oceans, the sand. So it means that this becomes the life support system of the planet, because the planet can't be there without us, without the plants. But the fact that this is why the plants and those particular animals are able to exist, without those three things, I think it can't exist. Lastly is the climate. Our climate is affected by things like rains and droughts. Why do these things happen? It's because you lack forests, that's why there is a drought. But because you also lack things like evaporation of water from the ocean, that's why there is drought. What I think is, for it to become a life supporting system for plants to be able to grow, we need to have rains coming through. This can only happen if we have forests existing in a good amount. You have many trees that are able to do that kind of system and the science to produce for us rains. So that's what I have.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Innocent. Actually, that was really a nice submission. So I really want to ask, do we have any other, do we have human activities that really affect these things that we've just talked about, the ocean, the plants and all that, the forest and everything?
I think those human activities are very many, but I'm just going to give a few that are common everywhere.
It's okay.
Everywhere you go, you'll find there's a new modernization system where people want to buy into maybe processed things, right?
Yeah.
It means people now want to have smartphones, people want to work with clothes that are processed. It means for that to happen, you must have industries. Because of the industrialization that happens, these industries most of the times they use some energies, like maybe they use fuel and things like that. People want to travel within cars. So every time you burn gases, you are polluting the environment. Things like pollution are the reason as to why the air most likely is something that is going to be affected. And at the end of the day, you have maybe trees are burnt because people are doing things like bush burning. People cut trees down every day because they want to get charcoal. Deforestation and things like that. Releasing your sewage into the waters, that affects things like the oceans. But also, because now you see people want to adapt into systems where they're able to use things like plastics, they want to use polythene bags to carry stuff because it is easy to them. Every time they dump those particular things that are non-biodegradable into the environment, they pollute the soil because they don't allow things like water flow into the soil, they don't allow things like animals to live within, that is to say the insects, because these things cannot be able to be degradable within that soil. So I think those are some of the activities that affect these particular things that we're talking about.
Actually, I want to also listen to these guys. They may be having some human activities that they do think. Yeah.
I think, to me, much as we appreciate the existence of science, science is one of the things as well that is affecting our oceans, it's affecting, our forests, it's affecting the narratives of people towards, eco-sustainability. Because apparently when you look at how technology is evolving, military science and intelligence, how the world wants to go beyond down the sea to, establish, you want to establish sea level bases to carry out your research for privacy and all that, global competition. What the world is ignoring is the lives of those specific species that sometimes it's hard to understand with a normal brain, but they dictate a lot in terms of our survival. When you talk about forest, all people think about forests. When you say a forest, an average intelligent voter thinks about a snake. He thinks about a wild animal. He thinks about mosquitoes. They don't think about the water cycle. They don't think about the beauty of our environment. So I think that's what we need to shift from, because from looking at just our education system, most of us, innocent Angela here, we are just taught that there are advantages of forest. You list A, B, C, D, and that is where it ends. Those advantages, it's funny that they only end in the paper. They only end in a UNEB. It's not script that's going to be dumped away for years. So I think those things, specifically science, is one specific problem that has affected our ecosystem.
After him.
But secondly, when we talk about the knowledge, how people relate with, this entire ecosystem, because from the knowledge is what dictates the activities that people carry out. So I think that's one specific problem that we ought to deal with as well as in addressing these specific challenges.
All right, thank you so much. Now, I really just want to finalize this segment by asking one hopeful source or one hopeful solution from you guys, because you know these activities, right? I hope you know, even though you've not talked about any, but you know those activities. So I want a solution that is just summarized. What would really tell the people that are listening in, people that are watching in, what is that hopeful solution you think? Just a summarized one.
So I think mine is just going to be simple, and these are things that have been overly said, but I think people just need to take it serious, that when you cut a tree, please plant more trees than you have cut. When you want to drive a car, please use clean energy. If you want to be able to maybe have an industry, use clean energy. You have things like electricity. Do not buy into things like having maybe a lot of fuels and stuff like that. So if you're able to drive around that and people are able to change their mindset and stop being conservative, I think we are good to go.
Thank you so much. Then to you.
Well, I would say that we should try to mind our actions. For example, in a school society, I've eaten a sweet. Why don't I drop it down? Like a polythene bag. Why would I? Like, we should mind our daily life. Then maybe if we are cautious about our daily lives, then the environment shall not be affected in any way.
Okay, this is one statement I leave with everyone watching this podcast, that addressing generational problems shift from generation to generation. What does that mean? That when we are addressing this specific problem, can we align these solutions with the people that relate with it every other time, specifically young people? I also think that this is one of the best ways we're really addressing the problem, through podcasts within schools. But through this very podcast, can we get into government spaces to focus on advocacy? Because we need rational authorities. We need authorities that people already believe in to address these specific problems. But above all, take it as your own responsibility. This is your life, this is our life. And I think, we shall be good to go.
Is there one animal that you would save if you could? What's that animal?
I think I would save the rhino that he's dying.
Okay, you. Then is there any animal that you would save if you could?
It's the very rhino.
Oh,
I would save an elephant.
an elephant. So thank you. So, and then the other question is what is the biggest threat to the planet right now?
I think it's climate change and the activities that people are doing every day.
All right.
It's money.
Lack of food. So one thing that every student can do this week, and it's really impacting us.
I think every student can stop dumping food in the environment.
All right.
I think every student should buy a water bottle and stop taking plastic bottled water.
Thank you.
For us, at least they should dump these packets of noodles in the dustbins. The best thing.
All right. Thank you so much. So if the earth could talk, this is the last final question. If the earth could talk, what would it say?
I think the earth would tell us that we are killing our mother.
Okay.
I feel like it will tell us, stop being stupid and save me.
Okay.
I think the earth would say, I'm tired.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
I'm tired. So thank you so much for listening in. It was beautiful watching and catching up with you. See you in our next episode. I remain Shivan Faith as the host of this podcast.